So my name is Mary, and I will present you mainly the 4 parks, which are like the gates of each zone. So I think it's kind of interesting to be after Sonali, after the 2 zones in both sides. Let's start. Yes, next. So I start to take the profile, the section of the crown as we receive it as a brief, the 16.7 meter, and the different lane put together. Yeah, it's exactly, no, it's not exactly, but it's close to the last presentation. So for the people who already seen it, just I will go a bit faster. But it's a different type of lane altogether, and we create corridors, and we have this 16.7, which can work to me if you have these 2 type of building on both sides which hold the street. Again, it's a question of proportion. But I would question the width of the road as maybe a misunderstanding since 99 till today. When you see the sketch of Roger here, when you see the 20 meter, he's not talking about the road side, but the crown size. So I really question the word crown, because I think crown is defining a road access, but also the building a life, urban settings. So that's my first question the width of the road next. And I will also question the type of road, because that defines everything. If it's a road with heavy traffic, with motor vehicles, with speed, of course, the building will not try to hold the road. They will go as far as possible. You don't have urban life, because as pedestrian or cyclist, I don't really appreciate this type of road. So the 16.7 meter are not anymore held by urban facade. And today, when we see Kalpana and Library, which are lower buildings, they are far apart. And in between, we don't use the crown to do any urban spaces. We don't do the crown. We don't use the crown as water retaining or water collecting. It becomes a space which we don't really know what to do with it. So I question also the quality of the road. And of course, like many of you, many of the architects presented, I will try to go for non-motorized vehicle at all for this road. At all, of course, emergency, any kind of thing. So we still keep a width which accept some vehicles, but it's not the main rule. The main rule is pedestrian, cycles, alternative vehicles, electrical, and public transport. Next. So I'll start from the center, which is Matrimondier, and I express it as a radiating center, which will touch this crown in several places. And it's a kind of an influence that gives us an inner and an outer when we are on this circle around Matrimondier. I did this exercise of putting all the lanes, We have one for pedestrian, one for cyclist, one for bus, one for car, and I will question that. Next. So yes, you saw the 4 cardinal points coming from Matrimondier. Now it's a 12 gardens, which also touch the crown in different places. Next. And then we have the 4 parks, which have also the name of the 4 pillar or entrance of Matrimondier, which indicate that there is a relation between this. And the 4 parks are touching the crown, not only touching, but intersecting the crown. Next. And then we had a lot of experts telling us about the eco-sensitive zone that we have in Auroville. And we have 3 main ones which are crossing the crown. One in Gaia, which is about, it's a very it's a zone which accepts a lot of percolation. The soil, the type of soil, is very good to percolate the water. So if we want to save water in order to, for our city, for our park, for our garden, for our forest, it's a good place to save the space for percolating. We have in Darkali, which is a different type of water problem. It's a water catchment. You know, it's a type of canyon, how to retain this water before it goes and it creates a lot of problem. And Orodam, the canyon of Orodam, which are on that side. What I see is that they can be combined with the park. You see the blue lines and the green lines. The green is the park, the blue is the eco-sensitive zone next. And from that, I decide that these 4 lanes, maybe we can reduce in this area. So you can see in the 3 parks that I reduce it to 1 lane, meaning there is only 1 place where I can have my public transport going through. Of course, I have my pedestrian and cyclist. And the others, I can just create different type of section for the crown. That was missing for me, to have only 1 section, 1 type of section for a crown which is 4 kilometers around Matrimondia, without adjusting to the context, feel a bit weird. So I will create 4 types of section for this crossing of this 4 park. Next. Yeah. So you see, I keep the coherence of the crown, but I change the experience that you have during your passage on the crown. So it becomes a very rich experience. You have different of things. There is contrast. You can really see the different type of location you cross. Next. It seems a bit abstract, but it's not abstract. It's located on the map. So this circular crown, which I give different thickness and different quality. I connect it with Certitude Road to this Visitor Center Road. Let's see if I manage that. Yes. Which is, we saw last time, it's a road on Perham Land. Not sure we will be able to change it before 5 years. I say 5 years because I think that's where we will, for now, that's where we can imagine and have an idea. No? We can always think of the bigger plan, but I think it's kind of interesting to see what we can achieve within 5 years in order to reestablish for the next 5 years after. So this road is here, which in fact helped me to feed this part of the residential zone, but I don't have going through. Then I have this type of road. I thought the mobility guys will be before me, so you will understand better. But so you have the road from College Road to Kotakarai. And here, instead of going through Darkali, there is another option, which is a bypass on the west part. You will really see them with my colleague this afternoon, I guess. So I feed the cultural zone from this part, or with a mobility node here, with my public transport only. So that, again, it's a matter of phasing. How much are we ready to use public transport, to reduce our individual cars, and how much we can evolve toward a non-motorized city. Next. And then, that's a new slide. Then we were rotating on this crown road here. Even this model reflects a little bit that. And then we completely forgot that it's not a void in the middle. So if I have to move from point A to point B, maybe I will not do the long road, no? And maybe I will just go through, because that's the obvious movement. If I am a pedestrian, if I'm a cyclist, even if I'm on an e-bike, I think I will try. So that was a trial first to show you that I put the lake here, even if it's not existing today. Today the road is going very, very close to Matrimondia here. So I suggest that we create an alternative road here, and that helped to feed all this area of tunnel and all from both sides. No? But again, we can imagine that it's a filtered traffic, only for civilian, only for certain type of people, certain type of vehicles. Again, it depends on our readiness for non-motorized community. Then you can see that, what else? Yes, the green. So I put, as a landscaper, I believe that the landscape can create the galaxy. So one of the feedback from last time was, oh, we love greens, it's fantastic, it's very nice, this forest and all, but how can you merge it with galaxy? For me, for galaxy pattern, what we dream when we see this type of things. For me, the landscaping, any green elements, any plantation can create this pattern. So it's really what I try to do. For the inner road around Matrimondier, I imagine that it's the trees on this road, or I say road, but it's street, path, alley, whatever. It's this green which will create this type of circular things. And then we can have some connection which replicates the radials. So that's something from the center. You can see that there's a different bridge crossing the lake of Matrimondier, because I believe that you will have this need, no? You will have a need of maybe the visitors, and then maybe the residents here and here from the residence area on that side. You will need maybe for the maintenance, you will need for security, you will need for VIP. So you will need several space to cross this lake. The challenge is not to get to lose the coherence of the lake. That's it. That's it. Next. Then so that was the inner circle. And then comes the park, the forepark. And I imagine the park as being the green macrostructure of the galaxy. So we are talking a lot of the line of force being the macrostructure for the city, for the building. The park, for me, are the macrostructure of the galaxy. And they create this type of pattern from the ground, I mean, from the sky, from a satellite picture, but also on the ground, a certain type of density of plant forest, you know, and that's why there is a need of a certain width of the park that we need to respect. Please, architects. And of course, a tree is always more, I mean, it's always possible to move and to place a building, but if you start to not to have enough width for your green infrastructure, for your green structure, macrostructure park, you will start to lose it. You will just have some plantation, but you don't have a park. And then, while the green circle here, it was more following the path. Here, for me, what is more important is the mass of forest, and the paths are around, and you meander into it. So it's a bit the same idea of here. Excuse me if the line of force are not exactly at the right place. They constantly change depending on the map. So I think it's good to be a bit relaxed about the location of the line of force. But it's interesting. I don't know if you will see it on other place. It's interesting to see that they exist on the two other, the industrial and the residential area, not on these two areas, Sonalis, that you described. Because here it's more a campus feature, while here it's really more about maybe more dense and built area. Here, the distance between this line of force are between 50 meters to 100 meters, just to give you an idea of the scale. It's massive. I mean, it's small in between the building, so, and it can be massive. So again, how to keep this proportion to have a happy life here. I mean, to have something that we can just breathe, and we can be in contact with nature, and we can interact peacefully. Next. I think Sonali touched it a little bit also before me. It's this gradation, this gradient from the center to the end, you know? So we are talking about park, We have all different type of idea of park. We are coming from all different type of background and culture. What I see for me is that from Matrimondia being really the center, even in the shape. This is, I mean, I didn't show it here, but the very famous shape of Matrimondia being a symbol, a tantric symbol of unity and creation. It's from that the movement of park starts. So it's quite interesting to look at that. From that center, which is more manicure, sophisticated garden, ornamental, which create, I mean, you have a lot of water, you have a lot of maintenance in this area. You go from here to from the garden to more a park, where maybe you don't have too much of shrub, but more trees, isolated tree like arboretum. Then you go to a forest where you have the 3 layers, where you have the shrub, the creeper, you have the ground cover. You start to have a density, and you start to have a much more wildlife coming into it. And at the end, you go to sanctuary at the end of the line. So it's really how to, it's not to have a monotonous experience of the park. It's not everywhere the same. In the middle, it's more sophisticated. You need to water maybe, and slowly you don't need to water, and you use native plants, which will be much more resilient than other plants. What you can see in this, it's not super clear, but it's just to show you the existing plantation, existing forest planted with TDEF, the park from the galaxy. So it's 2 different types of layers which are not exactly saying the same things. And also the fact that here we are completely near the village. So whatever we talk about green belt or being a very massive green area on that side is already lost. It's okay. It's another way to contact the village and to try to find another way of bordering, but we will not have a forest on that side. So that means it's quite interesting and quite important to protect this area as a balance, at least for now. And also what I think, these gradients means also the gradient where you see the sky, for example. For me, I just love to go to Matrimondia also because I have the experience of the stars, the moon, the sun rising. And if we have this experience here, maybe we don't need to have the same experience everywhere. So why not to have in the forest and in the deep park to have the cover of the tree? And it's to have different type of experience. Next. So we have the 4 parks, Mahalakshmi, Mahakali, Mahasarasvati, Maheshwari. The idea is to have different type of thematic on each of them, to connect them with the 3 ecozones that you saw before, Darkali, Orodam, and Gaia, which means I really increase the green part of the crown. What I want to show here that you don't see now anymore in the master plan. Before there was, or maybe it's forgotten, or maybe it's intentional, I don't know. These 2 rings of green here. It's very interesting to see it in the context of this line of force that we saw before. Because if we have here, it's a higher point, correct? Huh? It's a higher point of the line of force. All the green and all the stream, all the water you will see, can go under this, and it's quite important to keep. I will not say anything else, I think. Next. Mahalakshmi Park. What I add on this drawing was the footprint of the galaxy. Because I think there was some misunderstanding. People thought that because I'm talking only about green, I just don't talk about galaxy or footprint or building a town. So I think it was important to see that, but in a different type of, to be creative, no? So in the residential zone, but you will see also at the last part, it's more to reinforce, the paved area. We have a very open space. That's what I show you with the first section. Why not to bring the facade much closer to the road? with different type of structure, light structure, permanent structure, a shade structure, to really have to create a shade that we cannot create with the trees anymore because it's too big. So it's 20 minutes. Yes. Okay. And then to continue with the same type of pattern here in the park, but it's not building, With the landscape, we can create this same type of pattern. So for me here, what was important was to leave a space here to plant the tree very close to my road, my street, and then to create a kind of paved area or shade area inside. Yes, I can tell you this first. I intentionally extend the Mahalakshmi Park. It was only 100-meter stretch. I extend it towards the cultural zone because, as you saw before, it's much more like a campus way of urbanization. So it tolerates much more green area. Yeah, so you can see the idea is that it's not, it's porous with all the cycle paths and to create more percolation pits. Next. That's a sketch to express what I said before, to have a share space for this one. I keep the 2 lanes for me because I prefer to have on one space in this area all the vehicles and to save the rest and not to have different type of crossing. It's much more, I think it's much more, it's more ideal for water percolation to save the rest of the area for water. So everybody is coming on the same lane. I don't have motorized individual vehicles, and I repeat myself. Next. So that's the section for that. You see 6 meters for the road because it's everybody here, and 2 meters on both sides to tolerate this type of shade infrastructure and all. Infrastructure, I didn't go too much in detail about that. I changed it before, I put it under the road, and now I put it outside the road because it seems that we need access to it, and what is important for me is that infrastructure are not defining what is outside. It's buried in the ground. So we need to be practical. We need it, but it's not something that will create a type of life outside. It's not something that could create a city or a street feeling. So we will need to see that, but I'm sure that we can find solution, and also solution in phasing. It's not that we have to bury today pipes and cable for 50,000 people today with the technology of today, while we know that in 5 and 10 years it will be obsolete. So we can do something. Maybe we change this gradient of 50,000 to something which is more realistic in 5 or 10 years. And then in 5 or 10 years anyway, we will have to change it. And we will know exactly where we will change it. Next. So now we are in Mahakali Park. I didn't increase the size of the park. It's about 300 meters. That's where, we are in youth center. That's where trees have been cut recently, while it's a park. Or it will be a park. That's the idea. The only thing that I will say, it's this access here that is today existing and that helped to feed the cultural zone, block completely all the sport grounds, the school, to the other side, on that side. So are we ready to leave our vehicle here or here? Again, it's not only a personal effort or individual effort. It's a public effort. We need to create, I saw on the previous presentation, e-cycle pool, transition, mobility, parking. So all this can be done, and can be done if we are enough on our cycle or on our e-cycle to ask for this change. Again, here you see, really I don't see any building on this stretch because it's quite small. I mean, you have a lot of water that you need to live, to go through this way. But with hedge, yes, oh, yeah. Next. So next, it's an illustration for that. And it's just to show you that with native species hedges, we can create space. On this drawing, it's a bit more fluid. On the previous map, it was a bit rigid because I wanted to follow the galaxy. We can play, we can do. Next, yes, I hear you. I have to. So the section here was just to showing you that by dividing this different lane, I don't have any motors for vehicles on that park. By dividing this different traffic, and by playing its meandering, I can plant on the side of it, and then I can create the shade for it. I don't need to be in the sun. Because it's small, again, the proportion with the forest beside can help the shading. Next. So that's quite important, but it's dark alley forest. I'll go fast. Here, that's water bodies that we saw today. I propose to go with only a catwalk, to have a public transport on the side, and to have the motorized individual vehicles going on that side. This is new, it doesn't exist. I mean, the main idea is really to preserve the water. I mean, it's our main richest and our main, I mean, it's something that seems obvious to me. We have so much space on the other side of the crown to build. So why do we try to put something here, you know? Maybe in 10 years, I don't say, maybe we will find a solution to combine. But today, I don't see really the point. This is a line of force that are transformed into line of light. That was this, no? That was, no, light of life. Yes, you will see just after me. So again, we can create this type of, for me, it's not something too rigid, but it's where maybe we collect all the water, we create more water body, and that's the idea of line of life. Whatever we do here in the first 5 years will help us to find a solution for this one and this one. Because the water is going in 3 different parts. It intersects with the crown in 3 parts. Next. Yeah, so enjoy the drawings. Next. You see, I mean, it's the idea of the axis of the crown is here, and we just create the next. Okay, so that's residential zone. Mashbury Park is here. Depending on the map, the line of force or the line of goodwill is different. So it's a bit on top of each other. As a landscaper, I have to defend my park, I'm sorry. So what does it mean? That means maybe we can extend the park on that side, or maybe we can really, really, really emphasize the fact that the line of force should have any green facade, green roof, urban farming. It has to give this type of typology on that side. Residential zone here, double line in the central, double line of trees in the central part, and building on both sides to protect the canyon and to protect the education zone here. Next, sorry. So you see that, the double line here. Next, double line. Now you have, yeah, I have 14, so now I have 14 meters, but I have a central area here, which I can plant because I put my both infrastructure on both sides, and I have shade. So suddenly I have a solution to have kind of a large crown. Next. So that was between the library and the Kalpana. You remember I mentioned the big, large open space, which is already paved. My idea is to reclaim the paved area and to create shade, light structure, you know, really to recreate a life, urban life that you saw on the previous presentation. And then you see the solar kitchen here, Potus, and the stretch which is already paved. So it's really this idea, if the crown becomes a street, which you don't have any motorized vehicle, then you can recreate a type of urban life. You park your car, Aurovilian have their car in a building, you plug your cycle here. That's it. That was the last slide to to say what we can do next. In fact, we can absolutely do. So you see, you have 4 different sections already, you know. And if you start to do the other section on the galaxy, you have different type of section all around. Plan the park, create the plaza of the solar kitchen, build a dark alley and divert the road west to dark alley. And then the other things are something like creating groups with the village about mobility. If we start to, you will see later, if we start to create this road here for the visitor center, we can really establish a communication with the village and with Quilapalayan. If we reduce the burden of the heavy traffic that we have now, if we take care of our own traffic, how we create this differently, and then that can help us to also envisage all this part here, all this border here. For me, it seems a bit complex. And yeah, the other is to create a public transport now. Yeah, that's it. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Marie.